My name is Rhania Bensafia, Bensafia. Good evening. I am happy to see that last week you voted to support a pledge to support young men of color. I am glad the district has a strongly worded racial equity policy. But when it comes to a real instance of a PPS principal racially profiling African American student, this district has not been willing to have a courageous conversation. This district has not been willing to stand up for the right of young men and women of color. My son is a 7th grader at a school in an office. How ironic that in a class called leadership, the principal of the school came in, asked the class about the teacher's stolen purse, and then began calling individual students out to the hall. My son noticed that the students being called out were all black. He wondered if he would be next, and he was. All 4 black students were called out of the class. No other students were called out of the class. To this day, the principal has never gone back into the class to address his mistake. He has not apologized for separating our students by race. He has not apologized for damaging all students by reinforcing stereotypes about crime and black young people. Racial profiling made my son scared, embarrassed, and hurt, and he lost trust in his school leader. So the district has a racial equity policy. How did the district employee demonstrate their commitment to racial equity? When we challenged the principal on this, he was willing to talk, but could not see how this was wrong. His supervisor did not see a problem with this. The ombudsman was confusing and gave us incorrect information about complaint policy. A month later, after call of many parents, the principal finally arranged what he called a community conversation, which allowed only 20 minutes for community members to speak. Many parents asked to continue this conversation. A month and a half later, no follow-up meeting has been called. When children do wrong, hurt, or do mistake, we teach them to take responsibility. The principal has yet to address this with black and white children in leadership class and explain why is it wrong to racially profile. But pledge and policy don't protect our children. And if you don't insist that school staff protect our children of color, you will not see significant engagement of parents of color. You will never see the achievement gap close. And if you are truly committed to racial equity, you must go beyond pledge and policy on paper and hold accountable the people who are hired to educate our children. Because PPS leadership choose not to enforce racial equity policies, the Federal Office of Civil Rights is now investigating the incident and PPS mishandling it.